welcome to my space. Probably one of my favorite places is behind the wheel. I'm in my truck, which you can see I got a parking sticker from my very rude neighbor, but that's not the point. I'm just acknowledging that that's in the view. Awesome. So this is my favorite place. I've spent an enormous amount of my adult life behind the wheel. So whenever this generation doesn't want their license, it blows my mind. Driving is one of my favorite things in the entire world to do. It's my favorite way to pass time. Right now I'm driving through Yellowstone. I live just south of it. And just to spend time with myself in nature, seeing beautiful views. And I'm reminiscing on the time when I used to live in my van. In 2018, I won a helicopter pilot lesson in Alaska on Instagram. As my life had already had really cool serendipitous experiences, lots of travel, lots of just really putting myself in magical positions, but this one took the fucking cake. I was in a place in my career, I'd been doing hair for already 12-ish years maybe at that time, and just not that I felt like I had peaked, but I was making six figures and I had done celebrities hair and I had a successful clientele. I was working in a great salon and I was just really unhappy. I was unhappy with the fact that if I looked at my life and I was like, this is just it for the next 10, 20 years, I wasn't happy with that. And so one day I'm sitting on the toilet and I was going through Instagram, and this was 2018 I reckon, and I saw this chick who I had been following before, and she had always been doing yoga at really cool spots, but then she was flying a helicopter through the mountains in Alaska, and I thought, wow, that is just really incredible. And I have an airplane on my finger because I love to travel and I loved aviation and I really wanted to fly. Didn't know how that would ever was gonna look. So I used that picture as a vision board experience of whoa, I didn't know I could even do that. I'd like to do that. The next day, she did a giveaway. This is when Instagram was still kind of in its newer days. Now if you do a giveaway, it's so, who knows, right? I'd never won anything in my life anyways. So she was basically the squeaky wheel gets the cheese. And I was so loud. I had all my friends messaging her. I was making videos. Long story short, I won. My best friend calls me and says, oh my God, girl, you got this. And I was like, yeah, girl, I got it. And she's like, no, you got it. And I was like, whoa. Basically, at that point, my life became this limitless opportunity of whoa, I didn't even think that was a possibility. What else is there? So I bought a van. I closed my business down in Florida, and I had the anticipation of still doing my hair extension clients, just flying back wherever I was every 5 weeks, which I kind of did that for the most part for a year and a half. And it kept me afloat with, for sure, debt. I didn't do a perfect job at it. I was very impulsive. I am very impulsive. And I literally bought the van and built it out in 9 days, not enough time, and left for Alaska. And the few days or weeks or so leading up to it, I think it was 8 days that my girlfriends, my two closest friends, decided they were going to come with me. They were also inspired to leave their jobs and figure out what was going to be next. And going on this grand adventure sounded awesome for them too. And I was already going to pay for the gas. I was already going to have this experience, and I was definitely scared to drive from Florida to Alaska. I had never even been out west really, and I'd definitely never been in an environment with the wilderness, and driving across Canada sounded terrifying. So we had the most incredible experience. The three of us driving for 3 weeks across the continent. I flew a helicopter. They rode with me. Lee, the helicopter pilot, was also into yoga. We did yoga at midnight with the sun setting in Alaska in summertime, because that's how it goes. And we had this other really incredible serendipitous experiences left and right, just really shouldn't have happened. Like, the way that my life goes serendipitous like that is crazy. I spent the next year and a half on the road, just like meeting really incredible people, having really incredible experiences by myself. Now, like, I'm 37 years old. I did that when I was 33, and it's really been a challenge to come back into a life that I had essentially wanted out of. Coming back to like getting back in the grind of, okay, yeah, what does society say? Society says that I should buy a house and I should have a fence and some kids and a husband and these sort of things. But like, if you can't, not that if you can't make them happen, but if they haven't happened for you, I don't suggest just sitting around and waiting for your life to make sense, or to do life when you meet and when you get to these certain, if I have this, then I'll be happy. If I have that, then I'll be happy. No, that's just not going to happen. Even for me right now, I know that in the past I have been impulsive and been like essentially running away is really the best way to say it. And running away enough will get you to the point of like, okay, I'm not running anymore. I love variety. I like the adventure. I like the unknown. One of my favorite things I heard lately was, I think Dr. Joe Dispenza said that the reason why we're unhappy is when we go to sleep and wake up every day, we are predicting the future. We know what's going to happen. We're in this routine. We know what it's going to feel like. And the difference is when you were like a kid, for instance, and you were going into a field trip the next day, you were like up and at 'em, ready to go, dressed. No one needed to tell you anything. You were excited for this new experience. I have to live in that. I don't find a lot of comfort in regularity and routine. To some degree, I do, but I also really need the excitement. And I don't mind being alone. I absolutely want to share my life with somebody. And like I was telling my girlfriend today, I'm driving through Yellowstone and it's absolutely beautiful. And there's no one next to me to be like, God damn, isn't that pretty? I don't have that. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that I don't want it, but for me not to come out and get it, like, and starve my soul is not part of the plan. And it is just gorgeous in this direction. I'm going to get a little snapshot of it. Well, maybe I'm not right at this very particular moment. I think that there is more value than I can even put into words what it feels like being behind the wheel and experiencing life from the road. Even experiencing life and travel. You really have the close experience of what the flow of nature is like and what the flow of time is like. You create a new relationship with time altogether. And I remember when I left in the van, a lot of people were really more concerned of like what was going to happen to me on the road, like what someone was going to do to hurt me. And I felt like more so it was how were people willing to help me. There was just like a vast amount of people who were so kind, and I mean, I'm so grateful to have met them. And that is part of my life calling, to really collect people and experiences and not feel ashamed about it anymore. It feels really scary to go off the beaten path and blaze your own trail. And this particular video is for you. The me I see years ago when I was like, I don't understand why I feel so weird, why I'm craving things that other people aren't craving. How come I need so much variety? How come I can't go along with life as everybody else is doing it? You know, instead of feeling that shame and guilt, why not feel excited? Right? Like, why? Like, we do technically want to be original. and unique. Like when you're creating an art piece, you don't want it to be a mimic. You don't want a copy in print. We want the one of a kind. And so leaning into the fact that we are all here to have an experience. This is my experience. I spend a lot of time behind the wheel by myself. I love adventures. I love expanding myself and seeing what I'm capable at each turn. And I'm still not that great at it. Like I was just sitting by a lake in Yellowstone doing my morning pages, and one, I was distracted because there was just like 3 eagles and I had my binoculars and that was really cool. But also like I'm not 100% sure of the animals here. And like I feel like I need to be on guard to see a bear, when the reality is I'm out of my house right now driving to see a bear, because they just should be waking up right now with spring. And yet I'm kind of scared that I'm gonna come encounter with one. That's the whole point. Talking with my girlfriend, it really helps to hear somebody else's perspective on how they're making changes in their life. One of the things that I noticed that I could be really proud of myself for, and it has been 4 years that I stopped van life and tried to settle down and be the version of myself that fits everybody else's comfortable, and like I can also feel like I'm a successful member of society. But I also do course correct really quickly. It doesn't take me that long to notice when I'm out of alignment or discomfort. Like I also live for discomfort, but it's more of a chosen discomfort. I like to expand myself. I don't like the feeling of discomfort with constricting myself. They're two different feelings of sort of pain. And so I was talking to my girlfriend, and she made a big choice and was also able to course correct really quickly, and I'm just so proud of her for that. I'm so proud of me for that. It doesn't take me very long to figure out like what I'm willing to pay to feel the relief that I've sampled before. We were even talking about I'm creating right now a teacher in training and trying to talk about my experiences of maybe my accolades of how I learned these lessons, or how I think that it's important to have new perspectives. So like I do have new perspectives. Talking to my girlfriend about making her change and being able to course correct so quickly is very inspiring, because I'm willing to do it at whatever cost it is. So like once before, or I could see in other people, they're not willing to give up the comforts of being able to afford the lifestyle that they supplement for the lifestyle that they wish they had. For instance, like maybe perhaps you wish you could travel excessively, but like you're not willing to give up your lack of budgeting food, or your impulsive purchases, or being able to just budget and say, this is the long-term important factor for me. I'm not going to suffer any more of these short-term reliefs that I've been trying to pay for. And so for me, I only am really working like 2-ish days a week, maybe 3 days a week with some other work here and there. And I'm willing to accept that free time and use it for something else, instead of selling my time to one more thing that is sucking out my goddamn soul. And it is not an easy thing to do. It's not easy to get your soul sucked, and it's not easy to suck your own soul. Like it's just not an easy task, but you decide, listen, this one is more important to me, and I am going to have these experiences in my life. Like this is the most valuable thing to me. Not to mention that like if I give myself this free time and I'm not under the energetic stress of other things that are taking away all of my light, what can I get then? So before I left Orlando in the van to have these wild experiences, I would still say I had a great life. Like I traveled a lot, I met a lot of cool people, I had a lot of very cool experiences, and I had a lot more experiences when I put myself out there. I definitely had some heartbreak. I faced challenges that are just like, if I would have said prior to, this is my worst case scenario, I met worst case scenario and then some. But the fact that I was able to reach the other side of those challenges left me feeling extremely confident and extremely competent. There's not a whole lot now that, like, unless I get stuck in a loop, which I have, and being around different energies, sometimes it helps me forget who I am, and I can forget that I'm capable of really challenging things, or that I believe that I'm supposed to be in a different alignment. Now, having those constant experiences and then getting back to them more, whatever it is that I think I want to do in the future, I know that I can get through whatever challenge it may bring. I had one night where I didn't have a 4-wheel drive van, which I would never do that again now. I would rather have this truck and sleep in the back seat than not have a 4-wheel drive. But I got the truck stuck, or the van stuck one day, and in the middle of the night I had to like flag down strangers to help me. It ended up being like this couple that I'm still friends with on Instagram, and that was just like such a cool night. But I didn't know I was really capable of experiencing something like that and handling the consequences, because the consequences were pretty high. Like, you could die, basically. Everything about my life is like a consequence of I could die, but the truth too is like I'm not that afraid to die, but that's a whole nother topic. I'm way more driven on I'm afraid that I won't live than I am afraid that I will die. And when you really think about what life comes down to, and I think that our quarantine experience really made this clear for me, is do I value safety or do I value freedom, and how different they are. They are not mutually exclusive. They are exclusive. Like, you really can only really have one or the other. Like, if you're practicing safety, you're not really taking any risks, and half of what life is for me and for you is taking a risk. That risk brings you competence and confidence. It brings you experience. You have a wider and more flavorful life. Like a cast iron soul is what I read one time. Like, you're just flavoring your life with these experiences. And to each his own if you don't want to have them. But I'll be damned if I'm sitting around waiting for anybody. And even recording this after having the conversation with a girlfriend of mine, because I am emotionally, I guess, mentally, and energetically gearing up for what the next season looks like. And that has a lot of acceptance of it can go any direction. I'm not planting roots anymore. I'm not telling anybody that I'm staying stuck. I am 100% going forth and being brave and saying I'm a teacher in training. I have every motivation and inspiration to just put it out there and be bad and be judged and try to get my own. It feels good to express myself, even for nobody. It feels good to do that, and I feel like nature reflects back an expression to me, and it has led me to, like, I want to live in rhythm with nature, and that's very motivating if you've experienced that on your own. Or it actually happened to me when I was in Asheville on a hike with my girlfriends, that I was just like, what is this? And I'm born and raised in Florida, love the ocean, all that jazz, but the mountains really struck me. And we can live in this very limited life where you decide what you like and then you just stick with it. And I've just never been that person. I'm definitely more of a jack of all trades, and I'm a master of just one hair. But I'd also say that I am a master at trying to master myself, or listen to the master within myself. I actually feel like I I value that more than anything, is how well I can manage myself and through my experiences. But I do think my point is that they come from the expansion of experiences to challenge yourself and see what you're actually capable of. Having that experience of what you're capable of gives you perspective, and that perspective gives you knowledge. That knowledge turns into wisdom. I will tell you right now that I am a teacher in training, but I'm training to be a wise woman. A wise woman who takes the experiences and the ways that she saw the patterns in her life and used it for good. It's human research, it's a human condition. I find it to be incredibly enlightening. For instance, I think the word enlighten, I can have variable explanations, but my own personal opinion of what enlightenment could be is, somebody had said to me once that angels can fly because they're not weighed down by their burdens. They're traveling light. They're carrying nothing with them. They're present only in that moment. And I when I travel, and the way that my experience has been with the van and living very minimally, I like that I can travel light. That it makes me feel like an angel in a way. And having those moments of enlightenment, you see what life can bring to you. And when you come through your dark times, right? Like, so sometimes we can't see through all of our shit. We're carrying it. We're carrying all of our darkness. But there's got to be some light through it. And that's what enlightenment is. When you find the light at the end of the tunnel and you release everything that was holding you down, that like the pile on top of you even. That was a lot of a random context. But I think I'm always curious of who my teacher is. And my teacher was just saying the other day that, you know, we do tend to like pick people apart and say, oh, I like this teaching and I don't like this design, I don't like how she presents the information, and like I don't like how she looks, but her clothes are cute, and blah 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 blah. And like, I don't want to I'm not for everyone, and I think it's important that I share some of my real life and the experiences that I've gained this perspective in. And maybe you're looking for a really similar, not a similar path, because it's your path. You find your way. But maybe the inspiration is that, like, when we share our story, it inspires the other one to live their story. And my story's not like everybody else's. And I'm in this place of accepting how uncomfortable it is when everybody else is walking a path and I'm lost in the woods by myself. And then there's a place to remember that, like, the goal was to get lost in the woods by myself so that I could find myself, let it reflect back on me. And maybe you don't know what it is that you're searching for. Maybe you know that you're just wanting to have a different experience. You feel this calling inside of you. One of my girlfriends and I have talked about it like as a monster. Mine's a monster. Like, if I don't feed this monster, I'm not good. Like, I didn't come. It's very clear to me that I did not come here to share the experience that everybody else is having. Good for them. That's fine. My soul is here, whether I like it or not, to have a different experience. I wasn't meant to be in an easy life, apparently. I choose challenge, and perhaps you have found yourself in a really similar life circumstance. You feel very different from your family, your sisters, your siblings. You have like this uncontrollable itch to explore, and I'm just saying, fucking go for it. Figure out how it works for you, because the impulsiveness doesn't always work for me. I end up having a little bit of financial struggles, and it's a little bit scary, but then it also gets you to the place of trust. You know, we were gonna have financial struggles if you're gonna do what you fucking hate also. So you might as well have financial struggles doing what you love. This is just my opinion. And noticing what it is that you love and value. I love and value play and time and experiences. When you catch me outside of those values, I'm not good. I'm anxious and I'm uncomfortable, I'm probably depressed, and I'm living more like in this avatar of like another version of me is trying to reach happiness. But like my true values that I know when my heart sings is when I'm playing, I'm learning, and I'm adventuring. And I just say that wasn't as clear to me before when I actually went out and tried on those values. So I'm trying to just encourage you to be brave, find your own way. One of the things that I was going to share is I have like a little bit of a happiness formula, and it's not that crazy. It's like writing, exercise, but not exercise, more like play. So bike riding, roller skating, and just doing these simple little shifts that I know are going to fill my cup up a little bit more and get me out of the hustle. Like if I just am constantly trying to serve the almighty dollar and make other people happy, it shows up immediately. And I'm really proud of myself for that. And I think that I really want that for other people, which is probably why I'm figuring out a way to teach and share and maybe be a muse to those who are also looking for that kind of relief. You know, relief and effort and ease, they're all kind of just tied up in one, and really it has a lot to do with your mindset. So if you can get your mindset to a place where you feel competent and capable of like taking on any challenge that's coming at you, like I don't think that there's anything else otherwise to do the work. Learn how to see things as easy and capable for you to do instead of naming and voicing everything else as hard. Random, blah, blah, blah. That's my story. Thanks for being in my space, my favorite space. I'm surprised that I don't do a lot more sharing from the contemplations behind the road. But thank you for being in my space. This will be the first time that I ever say anything crazy like, subscribe, comment. I have no idea what I'm doing here. I have no idea who I'm doing it for. So if it ends up being you, please let me know. I'd be really excited to find out. Thank you. Have a great day. Wait, I should probably keep my hands on the wheel, right?